My name is Bethany Perry, and I am a success and relationship coach. I am also a best-selling author thanks to Vicky, and having worked with her one-on-one and invested heavily in having her support, I wanted to hop on here and give you my 2 cents about her because I have worked with her online. I've worked with her on the phone. I have met her in person and been lucky enough to, I say lucky enough, but at the same time, like, I made that happen. It wasn't luck. It was a choice that I made. And I feel grateful. That's probably a better word. I feel very grateful. And I see you guys popping on here. Give me some love hearts and likes if you can hear me okay. I'm, enjoying a Saturday afternoon and cozied up in my husband's hoodie. And why is Vicky on my mind, and why do my 2 cents matter to you? My 2 cents matter because I have paid to work with Vicky, and I am a best-selling author because of her support. And if you're considering working with her, I'm going to just be really vulnerable with you. Hey, Daniela. I'm going to be really vulnerable about why that was such a hard decision for me to make. And in hindsight, why I wish I would have done it way sooner than I did. So you might be able to relate to that. The other part of it is, I know she has her live event coming up, and I have had the pleasure of meeting her in person and working with her in person. And in case you don't understand why that's different than talking to her on the phone, ultimately, here's what it boils down to for me is, if you're anything like me, you have a book inside of you. You have a story that you know matters, and you have probably started writing it 100 different times. Or maybe you just, another thing I used to do is I used to fall asleep, and I would be like, I'd have all these ideas come into my head, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I said that perfectly. I'll write it tomorrow. And here's the truth of the matter is it's never convenient to write a book. And when I made the decision that I was going to write my book, it was actually because, for me, the trigger was that I was growing my business and I had a lot of great opportunities coming, and they kept falling through. And it was coming up to the end of the year last year, and nothing had gone as planned in my business. And I called Vicky and I said, listen, I'm committing. If I don't pay somebody to hold me accountable, I know that this will be another year that goes by that I don't write this book, because I have had this book inside of me for over 5 years. Another thing that was happening was I was up-leveling so fast that it was almost like my story was changing. Not the facts and the details about what I was going to write about in my book, but my perception of them and my connectedness to that place in my life. I knew I was moving so fast in becoming an international coach that I was losing that connection. And it just does, you don't write it the same way when you're not in the middle of it, right? And so here's why I love Vicky so much. And love hearts if you love Vicky also. And here's the thing. When I hired her, I was like, I know I could do this on my own. I could totally do this by myself. Whew, I'm so glad I hired her, because the reality is I hadn't done it for all 5 years before because I didn't have someone holding me accountable. And writing a book is one thing. We can write in our journals, we can write chapters that nobody's ever going to see, but there's something about hitting publish that is scary as shit. And sorry, I don't think Vicky really ever swears. I do sometimes, so sorry. Sorry, earmuffs, if you need them. But here's the deal is that, my mom got really mad at me. She didn't even know what was in my book, but she got mad at me because how dare I tell my story? I think she was a little worried about if I might have said something about her. I had all kinds of people giving me their opinions when they heard I was writing a book, that it just got really overwhelming. And I having that support of a coach say, yes, I've been through that, because she has published multiple bestsellers. She knows what it's like. She has family opinions. She has friend opinions. She has client opinions. She's been through all of that, and she's managed to get through to the other side. So when I hired her, it was mostly because I knew her and I liked her, and I wanted to be held accountable. But the benefits like went through the roof, like things I didn't even know I was going to need when I went through that process, because publishing a book is really scary. For those of you that have already done it, like high five, like I get it on a whole different level now, but I didn't get it before I did it. That's part of why she's so awesome, is that she does get it. And not only does she get it, it's not just about her experience. She's actually studied this stuff, and she stays up to speed on what are the technical side of things, which I'm not I'm a relationship coach. Like, hello, like I work with people. I think humans are the most interesting things in the world. And I like mindset and neural pathways and all kinds of stuff that, had nothing to do with my book, but it does have everything to do with me. And as the author, that had something to do with my book. So what kind of person are you? Are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? Do you, your personality, who you are as a person, you're going to have challenges when you're publishing your book. And I want to just touch on the fact that it's never going to be convenient. My husband and I are hopeful to start a family this year, and I've been through 2 miscarriages, and I've had all kinds of obstacles along that path come up. And one thing I keep reminding myself is that it's never convenient to be pregnant. It's also really never convenient to write a book. And if you've started writing it and you haven't published yet, there is no reason that working with her, literally, especially if you go to her event, I guarantee you're going to come home ready to hit publish. You might have some work to do. You might need an editor to look at it. You might have some stuff like that, but it's not convenient to travel to a live event. But here's what happens. Having, again, my 2 cents, having met Vicki in person, there's something about her energy. There's something about how incredible she is about making you feel safe and supported, no matter what other people are going to say. Because I have my 2 cents about Vicki. People are going to have their 2 cents about you. And at the end of the day, if you let their 2 cents hold you back, which you might do if you just stay home on your couch writing your book or putting it in your journal or never actually hitting publish, and maybe you do hit publish and then your book just sits there and like it's only sold 2 copies. I mean, that's a disservice. Your mission matters. Your message matters. And when it gets scary to put your story out in the world, it's having that coach to love you and support you through it. But also, she's not just a cheerleader. I mean, she is very nice, but she's not just a cheerleader. She's an actual coach. And that means she gets results. And like I invested for private time with her, and you have somebody holding you accountable and lovingly supporting you through that. Not like pom-poms on the sideline, like you can do it, but actually giving you specific structure on, okay, what are you afraid of? Here's how we're going to work through it in 5 minutes, and now go write that next chapter. When you hit writer's block, when you have fear about what other people are going to think, I mean, maybe you don't. If you don't have those fears, then you're probably not going to get what I'm talking about. But the end result is I am somebody that's so confident and didn't think I was going to have those fears. And then when it came time to actually getting my project done, I did have those fears, and I would have paid double what I paid Vicki. I literally would have invested twice as much, not very good English. Good thing I had an editor and had Vicki, because I hope I don't have those type of goof ups in my book. But the fact is, getting that book done and having the support about now what do I do with it? Like, it was such a big deal. Like I got to the point where I couldn't even think about what am I going to do with the book after it's done. I just had to get the book done. And she was already thinking 5 steps ahead. She knows the path, and she's not emotionally connected to your book. She does emotionally care about you, and she will get invested in your story and why it's so important for you to share it. And she'll give you honest feedback about what that's going to feel like from a reader's perspective. But she's not so emotionally attached to it that she might get freaked out so much that she puts it back on the shelf. And I'd started writing this book time and time again, and it was like, it just didn't happen. And so for those of you that haven't worked with Vicki, if you're just here for the free trainings, trust me, I get it. I know how awesome her free trainings are. I also know what happens when you choose to say yes to yourself and allow her to support you in that. And it's mind blowing. And it's also world changing for all the people that are waiting for your book. I can't tell you how many people I have reach out to me and they're like, I literally just yesterday, which is kind of what inspired me to do this live in Vicki's group. She doesn't know what I'm going to say, so hopefully she's okay with all of this. But, really looking at getting those random Facebook messages from people who are like, oh my God, your book made me cry, made me feel understood, made me laugh, made me decide to change my life. Having clients reach out to me and say, I want to work with you because I read your story. And having family members, even like I mentioned, like my mom got mad at me, I was writing my book. Guess what? Because I had Vicki on my team, by the time I hit publish on my book, my mom bought a copy, and my mom was like someone who was able to be a team player in this process for me, instead of having it be something that was scary and bad, which would have been enough for me to shelf my story. And my story is my story, and your story is your story. And at the end of the day, you change the world by sharing your story. And if you have a story inside of you, if you don't share it, every day that you don't share it, every day that you keep putting it on the shelf is one more day that person that needs to know that they're not alone, that person that needs to know that somebody else got it, that person that needs to know how the hell did you get to the other side of your struggle. They need you. And every day, I think about it now and I'm like, that's 5 years that people didn't know that I get what it's like, and that here's what I did to get through it, because I was too chicken. And Vicki is so loving and so supportive. And if you don't say yes to yourself, she can't make that decision for you. Ultimately, you have to make the decision. But if you want Vicki's support in any way, if you just want this project done, then you literally are so missing out by not hiring her. You are so missing out on having this process, instead of being like a panic attack, anxiety ridden, emotional roller coaster ride that I didn't expect it to be. Like I said, I'm a really confident person in a lot of ways. I didn't expect all this to come up. She's so capable of helping you navigate, and she's so skillful at helping you stay the course. And like I said, it's never going to be convenient, but it's not just about you. It's about me. I want to read your book. It's about the people that need your story. It's about getting the credibility as an entrepreneur to be able to be a bestseller. It's about all of those things. There's all these blessings waiting for you, and you have to say yes to yourself first. But in case you're in a place where you just needed this nudge to know that, like, I'm somebody who mostly has my shit together, but also I'm human, and so I don't. I know that investing in Vicki and holding myself accountable to deadlines, trusting that, oh my gosh, all I have to do is write this story. I don't have to figure out all this technical stuff. I don't have to figure out all the categories and the what to do, the who to, like, oh my gosh, there's so much that goes into it that I didn't have to deal with. All I had to do was focus on my story, and all I had to do was focus on myself. And that made it such an empowering process. And I have absolutely 1,000% would spend the money again. Like I said, I would have spent more. It comes down to, it was an investment in myself, And the lives I've already changed because of my book, that it's only been a bestseller for like 2 months, maybe. The lives that I have already changed because of that are so worth it. And Vicky being on my team, it wouldn't have happened. It would have been another year ended and my book wasn't written. And, you know, so if you're on the fence about, you're getting great value from her, if you're on the fence about, is it really, could you maybe sit around and eventually get all the information from her on free stuff? Yep, you probably could, because she delivers over and over and over again. But what you're not going to get is your book written. What you're not going to get is the actual deadline, the actual getting stuff done. And so I'm so passionately grateful for my time with Vicky. And, you know, I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I did want to tell you that my 2 cents is that you already know if you're supposed to be saying yes to yourself and yes to your book. And if you know that and you don't go make it happen, and by hiring her to support you through this process, say yes to yourself. Get the book out there, because at the end of the day, there are people that need this story, and you deserve to say yes to yourself, because you just do. You're worth it. And if you needed a reminder that you're worth it, hopefully this lands well with you. And I'm going to get off my soapbox now, but I absolutely hope to see a lot of bestsellers coming out in the next, month. Like, it does not have to take as long as you think. It does not have to be as overwhelming as you think. And it does not have to be something that is forever on the back burner, because you're worth more. Your story matters. And the people that need to hear it, they're waiting for you to hit publish. And if you're not going to do that on your own, then Vicky is who I would recommend. It has been an absolute privilege and pleasure to have her as my coach and have her on my team. And the lives that she has allowed me to change because of finally sharing my story, it matters. And so you matter. And like I said, hit me in the questions if you have anything. Mwah.